Hello, welcome to Switched On. This is our weekly podcast where we discuss all things gaming. My name is Mike, this is Riddle, and we have Sai here, and we're going to be discussing a theoretical N64 Mini classic. The first thing we're going to discuss is really what sort of games we would like to see on it, or what we think will be on it. So, beginning with Sai, what are the games you reckon would be on here?
I would say Mario Kart 64, the key sort of Nintendo classics. So your Mario 64,
Super Mario 64.
yeah, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask.
Do you think it's going to have both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on there?
I think so. I think it's got to be a given. You know, like we were sort of saying earlier, the NES Classic has the two Zeldas that were released at that time. So I think it'd be right to have these on there.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What about yourself, Will?
Yeah, I think so.
So, I mean, when we talk about the original games, the key core games, what do you think that those entail? I know we said the 4 or 5 now, but it's quite a lot on the N64 really when you think about it, first party quality content.
Like absolutely loads. You know, they had some real like key franchises really make a name for themselves, like F-Zero,
well,
you know, Star Fox.
Maybe the first F-Zero game in a while. Yeah, Star Fox 64.
Paper Mario as well,
yeah.
The first Paper Mario game.
There's actually quite a bit of variety on the N64. They got their RPGs, there are quite a few races on there.
A couple of fighters as well.
Yeah.
Although they were terrible, but yeah, there is a couple of fighters.
Smash Brothers.
Smash Bros. Yeah, the birth of a new franchise, right?
Yeah. When you think about it,
loads
this
of
was
platformers as well.
Key franchises today have come from. Like,
there's a Yoshi, there's a
3D
Kirby, there's a Donkey Kong 64, right? There's and they're all good to great games. And some of them aren't fantastic, but regardless, they're still good games and they hold up quite well. A lot of them. I do think N64 is that weird transitional period for Nintendo where the SNES games are timeless. They still play great. They're the peak of 2D mechanical gameplay, whereas the N64 is the birth of 3D mechanical gameplay, and therefore, you know, the camera in Mario 64 isn't the most friendly camera controls there are, but still a great game. But
still better than some of the cameras you get in 3D games today.
Well, yeah, that's true.
To be fair, the intro camera, when you first see Mario and Mario 64, where you can play with his eyes and his mouth, is still better than Andromeda.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, did you play with his eyes and mouth for quite a bit? I liked his nose. You can get it.
You can grab it and pull it off. Yeah.
Sort of do all that with it.
I do think like
that was a fun.
I do think there's like say you got your from every major franchise they've got, from Kirby to Donkey Kong to Pokemon. There's a lot of games on there. There are a couple games.
That's the first introduction of Pokemon on 64.
From there was the SNES, there was the Game Boy games, obviously.
Game Boy, yeah, which was black and white, but the first. It was the first.
It was the Pokemon Red and Blue like set up with the and you could buy the Game Boy adapter and play the actual Game Boy game.
That's what I mean. It's the first introduction into console, because obviously you had Stadium adapter where you could put your Game Boy cartridges in and transfer it.
Yeah.
Which was something which I think helped the N64.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the N64 compared to the other two classics before then, you've got leaning more on the first party content for Nintendo. There's the beginning of the end for like the third party support, at least the wealth of third party support that they had in their previous consoles. So it will be much. I mean, not to say that SNES isn't first party heavy anyway, but they're relying on that first party content, and there's a lot of content on there which now licensing issues are up in the air. Golden Eye is again synonymous with both the 90s and the N64. It's one of the most iconic games of all time. But that's got to be a licensing nightmare. The remake didn't have Pierce Brosnan in it. It had to be, what's his name? Current Bond.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah, Daniel Craig. It's a licensed game in terms of the actual brand anyway, which is always changing hands and moving on. It wasn't the original license holders that had it in the 90s, and then it's moved away, which isn't Nintendo's puppy anymore.
It's Microsoft, but I don't see it being a bad thing. Bearing in mind, Microsoft have never ruled out working with Nintendo.
No,
they never have.
They're playing ball at the moment, that's for sure.
Minecraft exhibition, when they showed the Switch, in their actual video, they actually showed them it, and then it's like, well, if that's in there, this is why I think may not be Golden Eye, but Perfect Dark's got a good shot.
I think Perfect Dark has a good shot, and it could be Perfect Dark's chance to sort of come out of Golden Eye shadow. I mean, everyone will, especially for the more casual gamer, they will remember Golden Eye more than they did Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark is a better game.
Yes,
It's
drastically better.
It plays better. It's got far better multiplayer options. And it has a whole co-op campaign.
Yeah, but you're not James Bond, and that's the thing.
And the music is iconic.
To wear like a tux and make love to all these beautiful women. Actually, come to think of it, that doesn't happen. Yeah, it sounds like a job. Actually, come to think of it, that didn't happen in the game at all. But at least I got to beat James Bond for the actual scenes.
But I think what we see is if Nintendo can tie up the agreement with Rare, then we're going to see, not that Diddy Kong Racing would be subject to Rare saying no, it's Nintendo's property. They produced the game, but Nintendo was the license. Diddy Kong Racing is a maybe for me because Mario Kart 64 is on there, and I think F-Zero X is almost a guarantee as well.
Yeah.
You potentially could have Wave Race. There's a lot of racing games, or vehicle control games for the N64 that could make it on. I don't see Diddy Kong Racing necessarily being the first choice, but then it's got a lot of love from a lot of people and it's remembered quite fondly.
I enjoyed it. I thought
it
was great.
It has been re-released on the 3DS, so
it's true.
It could happen. I mean, if you look at I know it's going on to films a little bit, but Marvel jumped through hoops to get Spider-Man, and they did the deal with Sony. So if there's something in it for, technically it's Microsoft, isn't it?
Free money, right? At the end of the day,
it's
not a franchise to be.
Yeah, I think it could happen, and like you say about the Minecraft, sort of ability
scenario,
to switch, sort of team up with PC and Xbox gamers.
Well,
why not have an agreement?
It's in Microsoft's best interest. They own the Perfect Dark franchise. If they ever want to,
they killed it. What are Rare doing right now?
But they killed it with their very first sequel. It bombed the whole franchise and it didn't exist again. And it was a potential big franchise.
To be fair, that sequel wasn't that bad. It was actually a fairly decent game.
I got it with my Xbox 360 as a launch game, and it was decent, but it wasn't GoldenEye Perfect Dark for in terms of you weren't blown away by it. It weren't Time Splitters or Halo. It was a decent game, and I think that was why the franchise sort of went a bit quiet and low because it was never out of GoldenEye Shadow anyway. Yeah. So then you're looking at trying to make that next step, and you're sort of stalling. But I do think they could team up with a couple third parties. There's a couple Star Wars games that could make it over. Star Wars is always big and always relevant.
There's possibly three. You've got Shaz the Empire, you've got Pod Racer, and you've got Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron, I think, is a cert. I think Rogue Squadron will come out of it. Well, not a cert. It's a very likely third party game to come over because it's a very good
third party. Yeah.
I like to think so, but the more I think about it, I can't see it happening. I think if it was going to happen, you would have seen one of the Super Star Wars games on the SNES Classic.
Well, that's a very good point. Although,
however, this is bear in mind how it depends how long this has been in progress, and the fact that Disney have bought Star Wars out probably bought them out just after the SNES plan had already started going through. They've made their list. And it didn't make it, and they weren't the greatest games. Whereas
I think you had more games to fit into a shrinking list. You're only going to get so many on there before it starts looking convoluted and a bit of a hey look, everything's on there.
It's a possibility.
I just think like you'd have a series of games you'd have to bring out. You wouldn't just pick one of those Star Wars games because the film is a franchise. You'd have to have all three, respectively speaking. Whereas like Rogue Squadron is just a great aerial combat game that showcases the 3D control. Did it have for multiplayer as well? I'm thinking of the GameCube one.
I think you're thinking of the GameCube one. I don't.
Pod Racer, I don't see it happen because it is an episodic release. Right? It's episode 1. Pod Racer, even though it was a great arcade game.
Great arcade game, but the film bombed.
Yeah, I don't see.
Everybody hates it.
I mean, you've got, I think, likely third-party games. I think they're going to position this as a proper multiplayer console. So you're going to see Bomberman 64. Mario's Golf is a possibility. Mario Parties, I think, is certain.
Yeah, I think so.
It's going to be the third one. I think the second one's my personal favourite, but the third one is the most critically acclaimed, and it's arguably the best of the three.
And Smash Bros.
I think the first one for nostalgia, just going back to Mario Party, it's a potential. I did really enjoy it.
I think the second one improved on it so much more. They'd be doing a disservice to the fans to bring out just that first one, if that makes sense. But you never know. They could have all three. I don't think they're gonna want to flood the console with loads of games that are mediocre. They want like the highest end, most iconic and symbolic games of the system. You've got games like Wave Race that probably make it just because it was
an iconic game.
I wouldn't say Pilot Wings would be on there. much to the point that it wasn't like you say on the SNES.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not. If you had a conversation with somebody who doesn't play games, but they used to play 64, they're not going to mention Pilot Wings.
Having said that, a lot of people say that Pilot Wings 64 was a real big improvement over Pilot Wings, but I won't lie, I never played it.
But they're showcases for 3D technology, more so than how like. I mean, they're games and they're fun games. I enjoyed them, but it's like wow, 3D space. I'm controlling in 3D space. And I don't think they.
Pilot Wings have always been a bit of a technical demo, I feel.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Wave Race, as good as Wave Races is a bit like that though. The water effects were fantastic both on the game and N64.
The audio's pretty good. You could, and the drivability of it was actually decent.
Now, there's one game I think that needs to be on there, and I personally never played it, but it's synonymous with N64 and considered one of the best platformers of all time, and it puts Mario to its paces, and that's Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. But that is a Microsoft franchise now.
A rare one, so we're back on.
It's rare, but not just rare. Microsoft owned Banjo, right? But that said, they wanted Banjo in Smash Bros. When they had the poll. We had the Phil Spencer come out and say,
and there was a Game Boy version as well of Banjo.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that came out after Rare had split from Nintendo. I'm not too sure if Microsoft had owned them at that point, but I'm sure that they'd sort of split, so to speak. But I think like Banjo-Kazooie is just like an absolute classic, and it really, really needs to be on there.
Doing myself a disservice by not playing it, but then
if
I had the N64 Classic, it was on there. It was my go-to, right?
Yeah,
but that's why
you
it
completely missed
the
out. The sequel was a bit too much for me. I think it had kind of like trying to do too many things. I don't know, it just didn't have the same feeling. Yeah, Banjo-Tooie. But the first one was just
the only
for me
drawback
actually
to
my
that have come out on the 360.
Yeah.
And they came back and that's
part of the collection.
Yeah, and if you looked at that collection, which I have, and I've played it, so Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Perfect Dark came out on there. Jet Force Gemini, which is another possibility, which was a very popular game, came out on there. So if you've had the chance to kind of... I played some of these. I must admit it was really Perfect Dark I wanted to play on there because I just loved that.
I think the key thing you'll look at is what they're aiming for with this console.
Nostalgia.
You know, if it's nostalgia, is it the average gamer that perhaps hasn't rebought these games because they're no longer invested, or is it, you know, here you remember this? This is the N64's game. This is the N64 version in all its faults and glory, right? That means it could probably come out again. It's in Microsoft's best interest if they get a licensing fee from Nintendo. Yeah. It's free advertising. You're never going to get the games on any new hardware other than what Microsoft make. Yeah. So I don't see why it would. I mean, Microsoft has played ball so much. I don't see why they would now sort of put up that barrier. But that said, it is still a licensing issue. There are lawyers and legalities.
Pieces, really. You know, and why wouldn't?
But the only thing they could do is do a deal. Next Smash Bros comes out on the Switch. Banjo-Tooie or Banjo-Kazooie pops on there. They do a swap deal. Said right, we want to borrow this, and we'll put Banjo-Tooie in there for you.
Well, they're definitely playing more ball, which Microsoft doesn't want Nintendo as its adversary. And when you consider the recent sales, I know we're digressing a bit. When you consider the recent sales numbers of the Xbox One, it's like, you know, pretty dire comparatively to what the PS4 is doing. You know, people look at the GameCube numbers and they think the GameCube numbers are bad. Well, the Xbox One isn't pushing much higher than that in terms of sell through, not shipped, as far as what the market can tell. Then you're looking at like, well, the last thing they want is the Switch, which is surging in sales at the moment, which could sell handheld numbers. They'll be third in the pillar again. Yeah. They're struggling to even hold on to first. They never really owned first, Microsoft. They've had it for a very short period of time.
Through the 360.
Yeah, but even that was second technically to the Wii, right? It was first from a traditional standpoint.
But the Wii outsold them all.
Yeah, the Wii outsold them all. One Wii to all them all.
Yeah. So we'll cut that bit because it's probably a bit much.
No, but we'll just keep going, man. It's all good.
Okay, cool.
But I just think that said, we should probably look at what 5 games we think are almost certain, or we like ourselves to be on there. We're probably going to have a few overlaps here.
Yeah.
We'll do one each at a time. So.
Paper Mario, for me. That's an absolute classic. If they do a mini GameCube, and I don't want to digress into that because we're another list, but if they didn't, that needs to have the sequel on there because there's a lot of money on eBay otherwise. But yeah, start off with the original Paper Mario.
Okay, great stuff.
Good question. if it's my personal choice,
Go for personal choice.
I'd have Golden Eye.
Do you think it's going to be on there? Do you believe it?
I would love it to be on there.
What do you think? Do you think it will be on there? Gut instinct. Your interpretation.
My interpretation is the problem is the 007 license. I don't see Rare being a problem. I see the 007 license.
Well, I think Rare. Yeah, I don't think Rare's going to be a problem. I think Microsoft is there.
Yeah. But if that was my choice, Golden Eye all day long. It's a great game.
It's worth mentioning before I go on to my one that Diddy Kong Racing came out on the 3DS. Rare had a part in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're owned by Microsoft. That's a very interesting concept to consider. But for me, the first game that comes to my mind is Ocarina of Time. It's an obvious one. It's a favorite game of all time. That has to be on there. Would definitely be on there, and would be my first pick. My second, before we go into your second, would probably be Mario 64. Just because they're two of the most iconic games in the history of video games. They're often in people's top 10s, and often critics' top 10s as well. But
considered two of the best ever made, aren't they? I'm going to go Banjo-Kazooie, for the reasons that I mentioned. It's just a really solid platformer. It's just an absolute classic. If Nintendo can in any way sort something out with Microsoft, for regards to that license, that would be brilliant. I think just be stoked if that's on there.
You've got to celebrate where you come from, right? Whether it's your adversary's console or not.
Yeah, and it's good, like you say, it's good for Microsoft as well, and it'd be really amazing. I'm sure all the press would pick up on it as well. If Microsoft were to do that, with Nintendo, it's a really big sign to say, we're more open about collaborating with things.
They've already opened the networks to certain games, right? And
like Rocket League as well, which is going to come out on Switch. It's going to be playable with PC and Xbox One.
Which Sony still doesn't get quite right. It's crazy.
I mean, it's.
And this is Nintendo.
Sony's lost. So Sony getting a bit of a bad vibe about it, and quite right.
I just think of Cloud being in Smash Bros, which is a character synonymous with PlayStation, because it's a PlayStation game that only ever has really been a PlayStation game. Forgetting the PC.
I have my theory as to why he's in that, but that's branching off a bit.
Yeah, but the fact that can exist is a character that's not synonymous with the franchise, with the brand at all. It can exist, and it's an advertising platform of some sort, right? It's a marketing ploy, but it's also benefits the game as they advertise.
Well, I'll say one thing that I know is branching off, but I'll say if and when we get it, well, not if, but rather when Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think, will appear on the Switch. I think that was a good reason why he was in Smash Bros. It's a way of going like, oh, hang on a minute, why's Cloud in there? But that's
but that's interesting. That's definitely worth a discussion another time. But your second game?
Ocarina, without doubt. It should have been my first, but however, I want Golden Eye because I've got Ocarina on my 3DS, so I have played it, and I bought an N64 last year, then completed it on that, so I have completed it 5, 6, 7 times, maybe more.
Digits,
just kind of keep smashing through it. But I honestly think that, obviously with your list, I haven't really gone in order. I've just gone for what
I just say Ocarina of Time first because it will always be the game that comes to mind first when you're saying what's your favourite game of all time? It's Ocarina of Time. It just there's no real debate in my mind. So to know that that's the console it comes out on is why I'll get that out of the way. What about a third one for you?
Third one, Super Mario 64. What a beautiful game. I know the angles are a bit sketchy at times.
So we've already got two hand in hand.
Two hand in hand. The first time you do that wall kick and you flip up that wall and you get it right and you're like, whoa, that was really good. And
triple
you do
jump,
forward
jump. Slide.
Yeah.
It's funny. I heard listening to one of the popular critics out there analysing their Super Mario Odyssey playthrough. Like we've played it at an event. One thing I forgot to explore, which they did, was you can't dive forward anymore. You jump and you punch and dive forward. Yeah. But because you throw instead.
Could you throw the hat? Yeah, of course.
That's just a little fun fact, yeah. But hey, so you've named 3. I've got 2. I'll start with my third. I would say Perfect Dark is what I'd like to see on there. It's an incredibly great 4-player game, and there's not many times you can say a game's a great 4-player game. It's got great co-op as well.
That's why it will be on there. That's why I've got to think it's got a really good shot of being on there.
I think it's got a better shot than Golden Eye, although I think Golden Eye has a more reason to be on there in terms of significance.
Massive seller.
Yeah.
Golden Eye.
Well, it would, but imagine that. You got the SNES box with Star Fox 2, right? That's a selling point.
Yeah.
That would be the N64 selling point, GoldenEye. And it is not a game that has held up well in terms of controls, right? And people will not remember how it actually is.
Yeah.
But it would get the units through the door for people to play again. Oh, this GoldenEye's not that one. But it's still, I mean, I still love it, but a lot of people will be surprised at how poor it plays, at least if they now play modern twin-stick shooters. But it would be a box seller. It would be someone picking it up off the shelf saying, GoldenEye, I remember GoldenEye. Let's get that. So, the more I talk about it, the more I think GoldenEye actually might be on it. There might be a way around Nintendo.
I hope so.
Because I don't think they see these as profit consoles. This is what I don't.
No, they're interest, aren't they?
I think these are marketing tools to push people back to their consoles. Say, look, remember your great times, right? Here's a new one, and here's our franchises in their better form. Or more
So,
form.
your N64, what did you kind of, what was your pickup game with it? So what did you get?
When I got my N64.
Yeah, so what was on your box? Was it plain N64?
Oh man, I have to try and remember this.
I think mine was a plain one with Golden Eye and
I think
Mario
mine was
64.
mine wasn't a bundle, and I think it was Mario 64.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Mario 64 because I remember walking into a shop and never knowing about Mario 64 and seeing it on as a demo unit and being blown away, and just one of those first moments in my life where I was like, I need this. Like I need this console. I need this game. It's fantastic. And it was a second water level. I can't remember what it was, but you have to have the invisibility cap to go through one of the metal frames to hit a button to get the star to go.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I was like, wow, this is incredible, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been Mario 64. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was.
So mine was GoldenEye, and I'll never forget it because I got it, and it was the first console that I literally had bought myself because I just hit 18 and I was like, right, it's my 18th birthday money and some work money, and I remember
Old Kendall.
mate, yeah, we were getting old. I remember getting it and having GoldenEye, and my friend had it before me, and I'd actually played the N64 from my friend's Japanese one 2 years before that, so I'd already experienced Mario 64, Wave Race, Dark Rift. I think we even managed to get Ocarina of Time a bit earlier.
It come out until 98, 97, 98. It was delayed. It was a 98.
Yeah. What I mean is I played it before actually managed to purchase my own.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I did. So I remember getting GoldenEye, I got Super Mario 64, and I think I got Ocarina of Time around the same time or possibly a little bit later because I didn't have the money. But I tell you what, I was blown away with that console.
The first time I played N64, that somebody I knew that I owned one was GoldenEye. I remember like not really understanding what I was seeing on the screen at the time because I hadn't really seen it.
I hadn't really seen.
I hadn't really played. But at that point, my PC had sort of been gathering dust and really been playing. It hadn't been exposed to Doom or Quake. I remember looking at it and they were playing as both girls, and they set slappers mode on. And I remember thinking that it was like as English slang. It was a term used that you can only play as women, and it was a term slappers. And I just could genuinely believe in that, and then I realised,
derogatory
derogatory word.
Yeah.
So this is a bit like adult, but it was just that they couldn't shoot each other and they just had to slap each other.
Yeah, I remember.
But it's just a very poignant memory, and I remember walking away thinking that game was so much fun. So much fun.
It was.
Yeah, we sort of digressed, but it was a good little trip down memory lane.
Reminisce. That's why I kind of asked you. Now we've got to go for game number 4.
Oh, well, I've done game number. You've done game number 3. My game number 3.
Sorry, you go for game number 4.
Is it game number 3 yet?
No, I've done game 3.
Paper Mario.
Yeah, so game 4 for me. I think I've done 3.
Yeah,
Okay, well, just one
Progress.
can't count. I'd actually really like to see F-Zero X, but with the additional content that the DDD
It's another selling point.
which I just sort of thought of, and
Never
we
once.
never ever got that in the West.
Fantastic.
America didn't get it, Europe didn't get it, only released in Japan. In actual fact, I haven't really seen much of it. I do remember reading in the magazines that, I was just going to say, you actually had a track editor, and when I found out about that, my mind was just that, that'd be like, I've got all these ideas, that'd be amazing. I could take Mute City and blend that with Big Blue, There was one where you sort of like technically go in like a hoop. I've completely forgotten.
Like the battle where you had to destroy one another, and it was like a big.
Yeah, you had that as well, and you could create. I'm assuming you could create tracks as well, where you could, do that, blow that.
More vehicles.
Vehicles.
Yeah.
There was a ton of vehicles in F-Zero. It was brilliant. I don't know if if there was like any more added afterwards on this sort of. What was it called? 64 DD.
Yeah.
But I just want the track editor.
That's another really good selling point. That could be a box mix.
Well, if you think Star Fox 2 being on the SNES Classic is a big selling point, for me, F-Zero X with the track editor would just be absolutely phenomenal.
But it's on Ocarina of Time content. I think that's where Master Quest essentially comes from, isn't it? The DD, because it was the whole concept was you'd put a disc in and it would allow you to on the fly, almost like rewrite using some of the on this data to just sort of like change the games up on the fly.
Yeah, sort of mixed it up a little bit,
concept,
didn't it?
just a bit too late to the party.
That'd be brilliant. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not put that in?
Yeah. There's a good third one. That's really a fourth one.
Fourth one, yeah.